Welcome to the final day of Learning Human. I'm really excited to welcome you all in today for our official closing ceremony. We're going to be having a lot of fun together this morning or afternoon or evening, depending on where in the world that you're tuning in from. We are going to do a little welcome exercise, and then we're going to be sharing all of our pocket rocks and all of our art from the Arts and Craft Hut and everything that we've collectively discovered and stumbled on together this week. So I'm going to go ahead after seeing your wonderful faces this morning and now share my screen. It's going to be really hard, by the way, to not start every single day with all your faces in the morning. I don't know. I'm just going to be going through some withdrawals. I'll be honest with you. So this was just a little welcome slide I compiled from other people's scrapbook pages. First and foremost, I want to thank the many of you who have been contributing scrapbook pages to compile your Learning Human experiences. I get a lot of questions, or I think a lot when I go to conferences like, what can I bring back to my institution? What can I share with my colleagues about my experience? And so you could think of the scrapbook that's been created as a great way not only to share your major takeaways and your memories, but to be able to pass along and see other people's perspectives and memories. So none of these pictures were ones that I personally took. So thank you all for sharing your photos throughout the week. I cannot let another second go by without just enthusiastically thanking our co-conveners. Camp would be nothing without our counselors, right? It would just be a bunch of rambunctious campers running around without structure, without programming. So I have to give it up for our lead co-conveners, Adobe, Salesforce, Workday, for believing in us right away and signing on to do this. Our co-convening partners, give it up for AWS, Instructure, Juniper Networks, Slack, Sophia, Verbella, and Zoom. Our camp partners, University of Arizona, Badger, Deloitte, Dropbox, GSV Ventures, Sony, and of course our media sponsor, EdSurge. Make sure to check out Jeff Young's podcast. Thank you all for helping to bring this alive. Of course, I mentioned co-conveners. There are a host of counselors and volunteers who must be thanked. Learning Human was created at the hands of many. This rich tapestry was woven at the hands of many. So every single person on this screen had a really big role, and for everything from making sure that we had scavenger hunts in Verbella, to having pizza making workshops, to making sure that Slack posts went out to direct people to the right places and that everyone was added to the community. This was the team of volunteers that really made it happen, and we're so thankful. Before we get any further in our sharing, at the beginning of the program, while we're all still here, I just want to take a moment to bow down to our program director, Erin Morrow, and our camp director, Lara Geringer, for being our amazing stewards, not just throughout this past week, but through the entire Learning Human journey, from the second you received your invitation to camp in the mail and got on the buses and made it to the campgrounds. They've been here working on every single little detail, making sure it's special. And I, of course, want to thank the rest of the camp team, Karina Branson, our wonderful art director, who's captured every moment, sessions playing up on the big screen, fireworks, you name it. That immersive experience really made us feel things together. I want to thank Warwick Pond, our music director, not only for the original theme song, but for the amazing concert that he organized on Thursday night that we're so excited to be able to share the recording from. Christine Whitney Sanchez, who made sure that culture and mindfulness was a prominent part of Learning Human. And then, of course, Chef Lev Ganik, who just had the recipe for creativity and success, brought together the community, had creative ideas, and really helped make it all come together. So thank you, camp team. As we discuss our memories and our takeaways from the week, I just want to let everyone know all the humans behind Learning Human.
One more moment. We also want to thank Samantha Becker for being our consummate groundskeeper and a whole lot more. Hooray!
Woohoo! Thank you so much. And then finally, this link will be up at the end. I'll post it in Slack, and it'll also hit your inboxes But if you feel like letting us know how we did, there is a Learning Human survey available for you to share more granular information about your experiences here today. So from the bottom of my heart, I just want to say thank you. Before I pass it over to Karina and Lara and everyone else, I want to say thank you. It's been many years since I enjoyed camp, but I think that Learning Human has made me believe that camp is wherever we want it to be and is wherever we are, and that learning together in these experiences can be fun and engaging. So thank you so much. And I want to pass it over to Karina Branson to do some reveals of some art that we did together. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. Just echoing deep gratitude to be part of this community and all of you who made it possible, participants and organizers. Okay, let me grab my screen share. And I'm really looking forward to sharing with you all a compilation of the graphic recordings and artwork that's been created this week, not only by myself, but by you all. So here we go. We've got we've got my compilation. A walk through camp. We started off on Monday, a week ago, and had a wonderful welcoming ceremony from our groundskeepers, our chef, our culture keepers, thinking about what did we want to create this week? What's the culture? What were we building on? That individuals were more important than organizations, that learners are first. We want to dream, do, drive, and built through the week to kind of talk us through what was going to happen. And we jumped into flipping scary stories. Oh, I can present this. Hallelujah. Technology is amazing. We flipped scary stories, and there was a lot going on. We heard from President Crow. We heard from amazing panels of our industry partners, of students, of you all who are educators and partners in education, from everything from using crowdsourced data science to address important issues like student debt, to creating the future that we want and not just succumbing to a zombie apocalypse of fear. Fantastic metaphors there. And some of these big themes that we see again and again: access, student experience, and thinking about what is the value of universities and education. You'll see those again and again. Part 2 of Scary Stories, it didn't end there. Using design thinking, thinking about humanizing higher education, and stories of people who are changing how education is viewed and experienced in this time. And then this phenomenal panel on equity, social and racial justice. And I mean, everything could have been captured. There could have been 15 canvases. Everything was so poignant and powerful. Then we moved on to arts and crafting learning experiences. And again, from thinking about how to create learner-centered everything to actually putting the learners at the center at the campfire and listening to a phenomenally poised and eloquent student panel on what is this challenge of credentialing and what are some options and how might we use them to support and supplement degrees to create access to education and certificates and degrees for more folks. And of course, hearing from the one and only Ruben on systems thinking and building a foundation for how to address black swans and how might we move forward even if we don't know what's coming. So he shared these incredible tools with us about systems thinking and how we can practice and experiment. Then we got to some asynchronized swimming. We heard about the rise of the digital campus. And again, we heard student voices, we heard industry voices, we heard academic voices about using tools and how the most important thing is that learners are humans first and foremost. And how can we bring our whole selves as educators, as students, and what might these tools do for us? And into using storytelling in these tools and thinking about education as a quest and how might educators use principles of storytelling to really dig deep and help students see themselves in this journey and think about it differently. And hummersive learning. My goodness, Maya and Emery, humanizing immersive learning, and again, accessibility, ethics, and how do we create spaces for innovation in higher education that are human and immersive. And again, social justice, digital education, and tribal rights, another extremely powerful and eloquent panel talking about justice, reconciliation, basic human rights. And I love that the connected are often the most disconnected from the issue. And so thinking about how do we really make broadband accessible? How do we create more bridges between culture and build infrastructure for equity and access? Then Friday, we got into some tech hacks, and a lot of this was very hands-on. So instead of scribing, I was hacking with you, but we heard from the flagpole, connecting education and the workforce. And again, incredibly powerful panel of industry and academic connections. And man, what's going on? How can we think about alignment? How can we stack credit? How can we create pathways that are easy for learners and non-traditional learners and people who want to explore education again, to see what's going on and how they could just take a couple of classes to get a new degree? And what do things like Trailhead mean for education? What can we learn and collaborate on together? And designing bridges between education and industry. We got some amazing case studies, and some of the key takeaways were really helping students develop skills they can deploy around the world and in situations we don't even know are going to happen yet. And the importance of relationships. Again and again, we can have all the tech we want, and things happen when we have relationships and connections. And then our closing Campfire Friday evening, again with Christine and amazing Tracy Zimmerman, just talking about robots and pencils, connecting scientists and communicators, and the ASU Charter, the leadership principles from the University Technology Office at ASU, and how much those things align with our principles and tenets here at Learning Human, thinking about discovery, being agile, being creative, focusing on connecting with each other. And I just loved this conversation. What have you seen and heard at Learning Human? And people were appreciating the intergenerational nature of things, that the digital divide is actually economic and social and deeper and systemic. So how can we really talk about that for what it is? That hit home for me. That COVID's an opportunity. These challenges aren't new, so how can we think about innovative new ways to address them? And again, that community. So here we are at our Kumbaya, and I would love to present to you this weekend. I was working on a synthesis of all of these things. What's a one-pager that hits on many of the key themes that we just walked through?
I'm gonna go ahead and give you a drum roll, Karina.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Here it is. So here was our path throughout the week. It seems like yesterday and a year ago at the same time, right? Last Monday when we had our opening reception. And again, being intentional about the cultures that we create in these remote spaces and in person, that we can do more together, the power of storytelling throughout the entire week, that we want to create spaces for the whole person, whether it's the learner, the educator, everybody. We are people first. So creating spaces and using tools for that. Humanizing learning, creating engaging spaces that are student-led and create movement and allow for the whole body, even in this little tile. Different paths toward careers, data-driven, personalized learning, building agency with the digital tools. And of course, I think something that really sets Learning Human apart is the space to play and be creative and be silly, because a lot of the time that ignites new ideas, connections we didn't expect, and something completely innovative and new, so that we can address and deal with these big systemic challenges of equity and access. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you for walking through that journey with me. It's not done. I wasn't the only one creating art. We have some windows to the future of learning from you all, and we're going to come back to this, but I just want to offer a snapshot of a few of the amazing pieces that were created this week, thinking about what does the future of learning look like to you. And man, I just love that we had analog work done on paper that was uploaded, we had digital, we had screenshots, we had all sorts of things, and this isn't even all of them. This is just a few. So I want to take a moment to appreciate those of you who are brave enough and put the time aside to create for yourselves and to share that with us. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. There are no words to describe how appreciative I am to be a part of this community, to dream, do, and drive with you all.
Thank you.
Thank you,
So
Karina.
much, Karina.
And those are never going to be shared again. They're mine. No, I'm just kidding. Those will all be shared with everyone, of course. So you'll have, and we want you to share them. We want you to reflect on them. They are not just shaping EDU learning humans. We want these to serve you as you're moving forward. So with that.
Well, thank you, Karina, and thank you to all of you who have been creating and sharing and thinking this week. At this point, I would love to invite some of our campers and counselors, to share a little bit of your experience in your own words this week. So let's start with flipping scary stories. Paul, would you love to share a little bit of your experience?
Nothing could stop me from doing that, Laura. Thank you so much. Three big things I got out of flipping scary stories and the entire experience with all of you, watching the dynamic evolution of this community from a great group of what I've always called trainer, teacher, learners, but obviously people doing the driving, dreaming, and doing together. The idea that there were narratives that flowed through this that are so dynamic and so much in a state of flux and developing as a result of what we did together. And finally, the call to action that we've just seen from Karina, and we've heard from Sam and Lev and so many other people. When I think back to last Monday, and I really had to look at notes to be able to remember what happened just a week ago, I'm stunned at what was already happening and what I didn't notice until a few days later. We were, through those different panels, becoming a community that not only was talking about learning and dreaming and doing, but we're a community that's now putting these efforts into the much larger social justice context. And that was so clear in retrospect. About halfway through the week, I realized what Lev had pulled together in terms of those end of the day sessions created a larger context that I've always dreamed that we might be doing, but never suspected that this group would be doing it. One comment from chat on Monday afternoon, and Arlene has heard me say this many times, but Arlene's comment in chat Monday afternoon really stood out to me when she said, frankly, I'm getting so tired of hearing digital divide. It's a social, economic, social justice, bandwidth divide, and it's been going on for decades. Then she went on a little bit from that. I thought, yes, yes, and yes. We've been looking at important issues. We are continuing to look at important issues. We put those in context. We are a community that can do things. The narratives that flow through that are exactly that theme, that each one of us as individuals is a key player in this community, and each one of us has our own narrative, but somehow we are finding a narrative that flows and draws us together. And my challenge to you that I hope is an easy one is, let's keep that narrative developing. Let us do something every day. Let us be active in our Slack channel. Let us be active in messages to each other, in the different committees. Look at the neighborhoods that exist in Shaping EDU. Those are you, people. Those are not just the mayors. Those are you, and we that serve as mayors hope you'll join us in actively promoting every one of those things at a level that works for you. And finally, that call to action. Let's stay together. There was a fantastic community that I joined 7 years ago online. It was meant to be a 10-week learning group through a massive open online course. And when the instructor at the end said, fantastic, thank you all, this ends our course formally, somebody typed back via Twitter, it ain't over till we say it's over. And I leave that challenge to you. This camp ain't over till we say it's over. Back to you, Laura.
Oh, thank you, Paul. Thank you. I just love how this is a key moment or set of moments in the life of our community. And for those of you who are joining the Shaping EDU community for the first time with Learning Human, I'm so excited to continue to dream, do, and drive with you as we move into the future. Let's talk about arts and crafting learning. Allison, over to you.
Thanks, Laura. I'm super grateful to be here with everyone this morning. You know, with arts and crafts, you know, what is art, what is craft? And craft is often, you know, described as, you know, the technical craftsmanship of creating a fine product. And artistry is that expression of emotion and feeling through all kinds of creative formats. And the combination of that technical technique and the artistry of individual and collective expression has really just come together in a partnership throughout this entire week. But particularly on Arts and Crafts Day, it was really accentuated through the beginning flagpole panel on learner-centered everything, connecting with that ending campfire with our students and designing their own pathway. Because the connection of the technical aspects of navigating the higher ed process, of what are the exact requirements to join the workforce, to prove that you're competent at something, while also exploring those alternative credentials for how to express yourself as an entire person, because learning doesn't just happen in the classroom, as we've certainly seen here this week. And to have the focus on the learner and learners expressing where they want to see things going in the future was just so powerful of that arts and crafts expression, and how we're going to better support learners and ourselves as learners going into the future. And all of that in the sessions connected with Adobe and Zoom and Badger about this is how you technically create things, but also let's explore what that means in the broader context. How can we use that for self-expression and move it beyond just the technical aspect of how the tool works? And later in the day, I wasn't able to go because my session was at the same time as Ruben, but I'm looking forward to that recording, because that board is so fantastic about how our systems and frameworks have to change and adapt to support that connection. And then Heather and Dan and Orion showing how our actual physical classrooms can change, and the possibilities for what it looks like to learn together was just so exciting in Arts and Crafts Day. And paging through the scrapbook last night, which is a fantastic idea, I came upon a page by Holly Witchy, who joined us for the badging session to create a badge on our lifelong learning quilt. And she wrote about how she'd come into this with some fear of Adobe and how she overcame that, and talked her administration into creative cloud licensing, and how many folks that'll impact with their arts and crafts moving forward in the future. It's really just sums up the week so well of how we've come together and learned together and overcome, going from that craft and artistry all in one spot. And on a closing note of badges and alternate credentials and pathways, we've given away, or excuse me, folks have earned over 300 badges this week, and we've had 26 change makers complete their learning pathway. So thank you all so much for letting me talk, and for all your arts and crafts work.
Thank you, Allison. And on the badges note, there's still time to be earning badges. So the badges still remain open. We'll be posting all of the videos in the next couple of weeks. So keep coming back to camp at your own pace, and finish earning up those badges. Allie, I'd love to invite you to share a little bit about asynchronous swimming.
Sure, Laura. Good morning or afternoon, everybody. Outside of inspiring me to go camping this weekend up in Northern California, I think this event was really eye-opening for the folks who attended Thursday sessions, both from the facilitator side and then hopefully the participant side. And I think Karina's summary on the learning journey, or the learning human journey, spells it out exactly as how we saw it come together, that we can do more together into that theme of asynchronous swimming, where we might have different priorities and different experiences, but it's about coming together to build that collective and inclusive experience. And in this case, all in support of a learner's journey And I think one of the big takeaways across each of the sessions after the flagpole was that we don't necessarily have to have the exact solution today, but the attitude to approach all of this is all about, iterating and including everyone in that journey and being able to, sympathize or empathize with the students in that process. And I thought, in the after or later in the morning session with the instructors from ASU sharing what they're doing now to bring their courses to life in a digital campus, the recommendation to kind of keep an engineer's mindset in this process and be willing to try and iterate, maybe fail, but take feedback during that process so you can really build out what's best for the collective group. And for myself, at Slack and some of our other vendors here along the way, that the magic's really going to come from the values or the value that these technologies are bringing rather than the feature set or, the functionality that we're bringing to life. All of which, a digital campus is one of those ways that we're categorizing all these efforts. And for those who stuck around for the afternoon or the evening, I do think the flip side of that coin is to still recognize uniqueness and where that matters. So seeing the concert come to life and the extreme talent of folks who you had perform, including Warwick's song for this whole week, I think is really the other important part of that theme of asynchronized swimming, that you should bring your authentic selves to the process too. So thanks for having us.
Thanks, Allie. And an important reminder of the humanity at the center of all of our efforts and the values that guide us. On that value-led note, Christine, I'd love to invite you to share.
Good morning, everyone. I am on my last full day up in the mountains, camping with all of you. I have been enjoying this so much. And like so many of you have said, I will go back and listen to all the recordings I did miss because there was so much learning that went on during this past week. So I want to say something about the way the culture of Learning Man and of shaping EDU at large looks to me. So there's this intention for deep learning that I can see, and a very spunky personality in this community, and quite the soul, quite the vibrant soul that sort of radiates out and is a magnet that draws people in. So that when we think about organizational culture or community culture, we often think about things like values and policies perhaps, and the ways that people interact. But I want to tip it just a little bit. I think of culture as having three primary parts to it. The first is that personality or ego, and any part of a human system that is here to get things done. So in yourself, you know that that's the part that serves something larger. In this case, for Learning Human, I think the personality, some of you know I'm very involved with the Enneagram, has got to be nailed as a combination between the two, which is the caregiver, lover, friend person, and 7, which is visionaries out there, a million ideas. I've just been enjoying watching that so much. There's also in culture a physical dimension to it, and in our case, a virtual dimension. And we've proven, I think, over this past week that we are not socially distancing. We are physically distancing, but we are definitely not socially distancing. And then there's the soul of the culture, the essence that serves some kind of higher purpose. And so I would love to invite you to just put in the chat what you got as the higher purpose. How did this purpose serve you while you were here at Learning Human this week? What is it that stood out for you? What's the essence of this community? Community collaboration, action, perspective, renewal, innovation, collaboration, dedication. I'll throw appreciation into that. Networking, empowering educators to never stop learning and growing. Definitely connection. And it is about the learners, many brains, one brain for funding solutions to make a better world, finding solutions and funding solutions, and the power of relationships and connections. Keep those coming. Thank you so much. When we think about what ties all of these elements of culture together, it really is collaboration. It's the way that we work together to serve a higher purpose. And without anyone having to tell you to do that, that's what everyone here did the entire week, working together for that higher purpose of learning, collaboration, connection. And I appreciate all of you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Christine. Wow. Okay. So this is a community. And at this moment, I'd love to take a little bit of time just to share some of the takeaways from the community. I'm going to pull up our scrapbook. And as we sort of page through and enjoy the scrapbook together, I'd love to invite our scrapbook page creators. If you feel like sharing a little of your experience in the chat or unmuting yourself, I'd like to invite you to go ahead and do so. So this scrapbook is just one of the many places that we're collecting and highlighting some of the takeaways, some of the pocket rocks from this week. So we've seen people being challenged and inspired to use new technologies. We've seen connections with people. We've seen so many takeaways. Just look at all these awesome pages. Lisa, I think that you expressed interest in sharing a little bit about your experience.
Well, having never gone through summer camp, this was kind of fun. From just learning all the different, I don't know, the lingo and all that fun stuff. But I really found it a great experience from being able to try everything. And I really tried to be online for every part of it and go to Verbella and watch the fireworks and run around in the speedboat with my friend Kim. And but what's really interesting is when I was trying to think of the whole week and everything we learn. And so many times you go to a conference and it's about tech or it's about teaching. This was really, there were so many diverse topics, and it really encompassed everything to do with the learner, not just in the school, but issues beyond the school system, and that every student should have an opportunity to learn. And it really made me think about, my practice and how I might need to change it or adjust it or just make it better. But it was Verbella was fun. As I said, it was really nice I ran into somebody that I hadn't seen for months on the beach, which I thought was pretty fun. And the music, and I sat and I did I listened to the whole concert, and that was amazing. And just being able to share anything that I thought people might be interested from my perspective, having the opportunity to share was also great. So it was just a great week.
Thanks, Lisa. Yeah, so just paging through a little bit more, so many takeaways from people all around the world. We already heard from Paul, who's been sharing on his blog some letters from camp. Look at this awesome collage. And I do encourage you, we'll post the link again in Slack, and I encourage you to go back through and take a little more time to look at what your fellow campers are sharing. Create your own scrapbook page if you haven't already. This is a living document, a living book for you. So please make use of it as you choose. Okay. I would love to turn things over to Heather now to celebrate our community just a little bit.
Thanks, Laura. So I have the great privilege as your adventure specialist of sharing our camp awards. Everyone is a winner here. Everyone contributed so much, and without every single one of you, we would not have Learning Human. It would not have been as amazing of an event as it was. I think that Sam mentioned in the comments, there was so much dancing for an education conference. A lot of that was virtual dancing in Virbella. We all harkened back to the early 2000s and did our best early 2000s. Our avatars did our best early 2000s dances. Some of you even discovered the secret dances in Virbella. So I am so excited to be able to give out some camp awards to some people who were really active and engaged throughout this entire process and really helped make it something special for all of us. So first, I'd like to recognize our Zoom Prov star. This is the person who effectively stumped Linda and was able to win against the expert, and that is Roberta Sullivan. So big round of applause for Roberta for being our Zoom Prov star. All right, our Virbella Virtuoso. So this is the person, I went in to Virbella and looked at how many times people had logged in to Virbella and took our top people who had logged in the most number of times. And these individuals tied, they both logged in 20 times to our virtual campus. And so over the course of the last week. So that is Lisa Koster and Jennifer Werner have both logged in 20 times over the past week. And outside, and you even actually beat out some of the camp counselors in their time in Virbella. All right, so the early bird, or is it night owl? The person who was at every single event, every single flagpole, and every single 7:30 a.m. chat, as well as was also sitting on the beach in Virbella when I went in to turn off the fireworks at 6 a.m. And was often there, and that is Kim Flintoff. And it's night owl because for him, it was actually midnight around the time when he was, so he was an early bird for those of us who are in Phoenix, but a night owl for him in Australia. All right, so the expert hiker. This is a person who spent a lot of time in the Virbella campus, just being zen with it, who was on all of the hikes in Virbella and who really just took in the nature and showed all of us on Twitter. And that's Bruce, and I'm going to butcher this last name, Matsunaga. I hope that's right. So Bruce posted some beautiful nature photos from around the campus. All right, so the speedboat captains. There are a couple of people who took the boats joyriding a whole lot and posted about all of their joy rides. And that's Angela Gunder and Callie Morrison, both taking out that speedboat, forgetting to return the keys, sometimes had to hunt them down. All right, moving on to best scavenger hunter. This is the person who was one of the fastest to get back from the scavenger hunt and got all their secret Virbella emojis, emotes, and used them with pride. And that's Tanya Bennett. She, for those of you who don't know, she got the horn that you could blow and some of the extra dance moves. So if any of you want to know what those are, ask Tanya in the Slack channel. All right, the visual visionary. This is the person who contributed to the visual artistry and tapestry, as Karina was saying, of our campus, and that's Sarah San Gregorio. All right. The camp poet. I bet you some of you might be able to guess who this is. This is the person who's been doing some storytelling, some synthesis, who's been tweeting up a storm, who's really been documenting our entire journey through this week. And that's Paul Signorelli. He has been documenting it for all of us, and I hope that all of you go and read what he's written. I've teared up more than once at some of his writing over the week. And finally, we have the camp fire starter. This person actually does have the most logins of Virbella after both myself and Dan, who set up the entire campus. This person has the most logins in Virbella, was on every Zoom session, was constantly posting in the chat, in the Slack, in the chat in Virbella, across every single platform we had, asking hard questions, supporting people, making new friends. And I would like to send that, and who even came in on Sunday morning just to take a cool photo with the camp counselors. And that's Zena Brown. She has been in here the entire time, and she's been so engaged and has been really a huge piece of the entire community. And last but not least, it's the Camp 3D Award. This is the dreamer, doer, driver, the people who have made this whole event possible, who really embody everything it means to be part of Shaping EDU. And I'd like to send that out to Laura Geringer and Erin Morrow, who didn't know that I was going to do this, and I snuck this in at the last minute. So I want to say such a huge thank you to you. You really did this with so much grace, and you were there at every moment. You solved everything that went wrong, you facilitated everything that went right, and I just can't say enough, and you really do embody the spirit of this community. So thank you to all of you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for going on this lovely adventure with all of us. And I hope to see you all next year at camp.
Oh, thank you, Heather. So sneaky. Wow. Well, let's hand it back over to Karina, who I believe has a way for us to continue to share our stories.
Yes, indeed. I've been busily sketching out your pocket rock reflections, and we actually have a way for you to continue writing. I know Maddie and we had everybody on Friday morning kind of filling out their own ways that they wanted to stay in touch. How did they want to keep this community going? Who did they want to write to? And so we've created for you, and let me share my screen. We've created for you a postcard, a virtual postcard, and there's several templates here that you can choose from, and you can even make your own, but they are fillable, so you can click here to write home, dear mom, or whomever you want to connect with, and even to write to yourself if you'd like to, write yourself a memo from the future. So this is printable. There's lots of things to choose from. I saw fireworks at Learning Human on the beach. I ditched my shoes and gained new friends. I had some more fun than you. And go ahead and feel free to create your own puns. These are printable, or you could send them virtually. We'd love for you to fill them out and send them to continue the connections with people that you've met here and want to continue the conversation with. Ooh, and Sam says in the chat, post them on social with hashtag #LearningHuman. And Laura says, if you're looking for a pen pal, you can click on the link here in the chat. You don't have to have shoes to be a pen pal.
Or in general. Wonderful. Thank you, Karina. Over to you, Sam. I think you have just a couple final reminders for us.
Yes, final reminders. This conversation and everything at camp is going to be continuing. So the Slack workspace, for example, not going anywhere. That is collectively ours to continue collaborating, connecting, and parsing through the ideas in the synthesis exchanged. The thing to know about Shaping EDU is we weren't born with Learning Human. We've been around for several years. And so if you've been introduced to Shaping EDU through Learning Human, we'd love to see you year-round at other events. We do Shaping EDU live events, which means we regularly get together just like this around shaping the future of learning in the digital age. I have no doubt we'll be planning an unconference, and then there are several more projects that you could participate in. In fact, I'll ask Lisa Gustinelli and maybe Paul Signorelli to again post their active broadband project. Maya and Emery have been working on a humorsive learning project. And of course, Nancy Rubin has led our AI to understand the student debt crisis project. And so just know that there are many things that are going to stem from this. And there's going to be ways in which we kind of come together throughout the year. The best way to know how to do that is just to go to our homepage, shapingedu.asu.edu. So if you're wanting to share with your friends and you're wanting them to join the Slack channel, to the Slack workspace, there's a way to do that. If you would like to get 1,000 of your closest friends in the know about Shaping EDU and Learning Human events and activities, our email list, or I guess we should say our letters home list, excuse me, is a great place to be the first to know of any events that are upcoming. We're going to continue to populate our Learning Human videos on the Shaping EDU YouTube channel. We've organized it into several different playlists. So if you want just the keynotes, you got it. If you want just the extracurricular kind of fun evening activities, we got that too. And if you want the breakout sessions, those will be popping up gradually, several a day over the next couple weeks. And just as Lara stated, and as Karina and Allison stated, just because you didn't earn your change-making badge yet doesn't mean you can't. You actually will get badges and can continue to get badges for replaying the videos. So that means some of your colleagues who didn't get a chance to sign up for camp this year can also earn badges and watch all the video content. We're planning on having replay parties in Verbella. So if you just don't want to say goodbye to the sand between your toes yet and all the learning and connection, please enjoy the replays. And it's just going to continue to keep the conversations going. We're going to be posting polls. Of course, I'll post the survey link again. And the perennial hashtag that we use throughout the year is #ShapingEDU. You could follow that Twitter handle as well. So lots of ways to engage. And Lara put the hashtag in there. But anyways, I just wanted to, give you a reminder that there's constantly activities within and outside of Learning Human. And I wanted to thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules to spend a magical week with us. We know there's a lot of other things you could be doing, such as sitting in committee meetings about your schools or museums or your organization's COVID plans. But instead, or in addition to, you chose to really kind of throw caution to the wind and spend an entire week with us engaging and trying something a little bit different. And this would not have worked or been as successful if it wasn't for you and your willingness to jump right in or dance right in. So thank you so much. We're really looking forward to seeing you around the Shaping EDU neighborhood in 2020 and beyond. And you'll certainly be hearing from us soon, not just as your pen pals, but as your community and new best friends. Thank you so, so, so much.
Oh, thank you, Sam. And Lev, I'd love to invite you to share any sort of final thoughts.
Well, it was a hell of an idea on the back of a napkin. And I guess that's why I got assigned to be the camp chef. It was a lot of fun. I hope everybody met somebody new and walked away with new insights, new ideas, and new friendships. And very much hope you'll come back to sample some of our food offerings. Again, in the Shaping EDU year, as Sam shared, we are engaged regularly. Our numbers have swelled as a result of Learning Human this year, but we continue to do collective barn raising day in and day out, week in and week out at the Shaping EDU. And I hope you'll each tonight, everyone will take a moment to raise a glass and to, as I like to say, as being the chef, we eat our food with our eyes first. So please take a moment to enjoy the bountiful blessings we have for a chance to enjoy these days, even though there are dark clouds. There are also silver linings, which we this past week found a way to enjoy and to project. And for all that, I'm very thankful. And I very much hope to see you and be in touch with all of you.
Thank you, Lev. Thank you, Camp Chef. Oh, I love this community and my heart is just so full. I am so grateful to each of you for creating this camp experience together. As Paul shared earlier, it's not over till we say it's over. We'll see you back at camp, as you watch the sessions that you didn't get to attend live, as you engage in the Slack community. We'll see you at our future Shaping EDU lives. We've got, based on your feedback and your ideas, we've got some watch parties, some rescreening parties in the works for some of our activities here at camp. Thank you all so much, and we will see you soon.